shop and make some great friends along the way. The good thing about that is when they find something historical, they bring it to me.
Good morning.
What's going on, Mr. Finley?
All's well. Pleasure to see you.
Good to see you. What brings you over to our neck of the woods?
It'll be the most interesting thing you've seen in probably your whole life. But when you flip it over,
George Washington?
this is a pocket watch given as a gift from George Washington to Alexander McGilvery.
Treaty of New York? Jimmy would kill me if I didn't go get him and show him this watch. Let me go grab him. I'll be right back.
Thank you. I came down to Silver Dollar Pawn today because I have a very rare watch that was actually given by George Washington to a Native American chief. Jimmy and I have been friends for 20 years. I know he's an expert on watches, so when I need a second opinion, I come to Jimmy. Jimmy DeRaymo.
What's going on, my friend? What you got, man?
Because of a recent death, I inherited this watch. And of course, I would like to find out what the watch was worth, authenticate the watch, and then I might be interested in selling it.
Do you have any kind of documentation on it?
I don't have any concrete documentation yet.
Let me do a little inspection on the back. And McGilvery, who was a very prominent Native American chief, and it has G. Washington at the bottom. Washington tried very hard to create treaties with Native Americans.
The Treaty of New York was the first agreement between the United States and the Native Americans, which allowed for their lands to become sovereign states, similar to how Native American reservations are today.
McGilvery was one of the most prominent Native Americans. He had the ability to pull together different Native American nations.
Even though there were several chiefs there, he was the lead guy.
Probably this was an enticement from Washington to encourage McGilvery to get into this treaty. This is a beautiful, beautiful watch. The stem, the small bail, is indicative that this watch is probably late 1700s. Humbert and Marais, very fine watchmakers, and they were made to special order.
I can tell this watch is from the 1790s, and that's a great start. But since Finley doesn't have any paperwork on it, I have to bring somebody in to make sure that it came from George Washington.
If we can tie the provenance to George Washington, this watch could be worth $1 or $2 million. So I'd like to go call Dale Genius, director, Louisiana Historical Museum, and I think that he may be able to shed some light on this thing.
I would. I'm really looking forward to hearing what the expert has to say and getting his opinion on the authenticity of the watch.
We get a